Hello, welcome. Welcome to the Underground. How many of you have been to an Underground before? All right, and how many, is this your first time? Yeah, so if you've been here before, look at those first timers and go, you're in for a treat here, I tell you what. Thank you very much, Sue. Thank you to all of you for being here. It's insane that it's standing room only, but some of you go, well, why wouldn't you? Well, because this is always an exclusive event, and now people are wondering what's happening at this exclusive event. And if you look around the room, we have some players in the room, right? And not players like you think I'm talking about, right? But players in this industry and the movers and shakers in this industry, and so it's up to each and every one of you. So the question of the day is, what makes you cuss? And if you work in credit unions, you cuss, right? How many of you have cussed already today? Anyway, the rest of you probably just haven't checked your email yet, I think is really what it is. When I asked myself that question, what makes me cuss? The only thing I could think of, even though Sue had such a delightful introduction, was my children. My children make me cuss. When my low fuel light comes on, right? When my phone dies. The fact that I'm old enough to have to get a colonoscopy, right? How the fuck did that happen? Seriously. I know, so a few of you are like, ugh, me too. There is a real frustration that's happening, but one of the things that I've been on a soapbox about lately that does make me cuss is the fact that it's impossible to get real news anymore. It's impossible to get the facts. I feel like online media and any sort of media, the TV is, what was that? Except for Frank. Frank comes with the facts. But it's impossible to get the facts, and that everything's become sensationalized, right? It's like the new Hollywood. Videos are edited out of context, and it's all about the headlines. And for me, it's really, really frustrating. Do you guys remember encyclopedias? Mm-hmm. For the crashers in the room, those are hardbound books that used to be on the shelf. Do you guys remember encyclopedia salesmen that would come door to door, and then you'd have the set at your house? We couldn't even do that today, right? We couldn't even do that today. There's so many everybody would have a different set of history on their shelves, would they not? So I say to my kids now, I don't want you going to Timmy's house because he has the Daily Wire set, right? And we don't want you learning some of that stuff or whatever it is. It's like there's so many different perspectives. So I want you to think back 30 years ago to 1995. 1995 is 30 years ago. That's kind of weird, right? Think about where you were in 1995 and what you were up to. And let's pretend, you wake up on the day of 1995, maybe by the alarm clock going off, and it was playing the radio, right? Maybe you hit rewind on your VHS tape. Maybe your knees don't hurt back then. And you think back, there were 11,000 credit unions, right? And think about a day in the life in 1995. And then you look over at your pager, and your buddy Marty McFly hits you up, and he says, let's take a trip to the future. Yeah? And you're like, we're going to go to 2025. Wow, will there be flying cars? Or what will be happening, right? And then you land in 2025, and you think, I'm going to read the headlines. I think in the movie you read the headlines that the Cubs had won the World Series or something, and that was funny to us back in the day. But now we look at that. So I brought some headlines. So say you pick up a newspaper in 2025, your 1995 self, and you read some of these headlines. Beyonce is the queen of country. Right? SpaceX has launched 1,000 rockets. The flag is America's new hate symbol. 70% of TV contains sexual content. The most valuable player for the NFL? Taylor Swift. Right? 75% of kids aren't getting their driver's license. There's a military crisis because 80% of young men aren't fit to serve. Stranger danger. No one answers their door anymore, right? And nobody knows their neighbors. 50% of men used artificial intelligence this year to compose their Valentine's Day cards. I thought that was a fantastic headline myself. Yeah, people are like, uh-oh, that was me. Or how about the president announced there's two sexes? Or millions of people that are 200 years old got a social security check? Wait a minute, we're sending billions of condoms to Africa? Think about the headlines. It's like you almost kind of just want to rub your eyes going, what on earth is going on? And that's the chaos, right? Wait, if I'll just fact check by watching the news. Can you get any more facts in those areas? No, not necessarily, right? Even my super device, which is supposed to have all the information in the world. You mean it's going to tell me exactly what I want to hear also? Should we check it out? Yeah? All right. Hey, Siri.
Uh-huh.
Am I always right?
Absolutely. Without a doubt.
I knew it. I knew it. But if you think about it, even your super device knows exactly and will tell you exactly what you want to hear, right? With the algorithms, generative AI, we've had those conversations before. These moments, though, that make us cuss, what makes me cuss is the fact that the world feels upside down and not knowing which way is up. But they're signals. These moments are signals, and they're telling us that something needs to change. As a matter of fact, at our first underground was in 2007. My keynote was on what can we learn from MySpace? I know. I was so relevant. I've always been so relevant. Yeah, because it was a time of fast-paced, moving, ultra-customized, different content and a user voice that we had never seen before. As a matter of fact, I wrote my dissertation when I did my doctorate on social media strategies to advance organizational change. And it was only 10, 15 years ago, and already every organization in my groundbreaking research no longer exists. Think about that, how the world has just shifted. And I think that you just blink and things change. And we've heard those different quotes that the majority of the data that we have in the world today has been generated in the last few years. And it's exponentially growing. It's accelerating at all insane speeds. As a matter of fact, the data sphere is now in the zettabytes. I know we have some technology people that are like, yeah, I had to look up what that is, right? A zettabyte, so here it goes giga, tera, peta, exa, zetta. So we have that much data that's out in the universe today. It almost sounds like a sorority, right? Para, exa, zetta. But we have to keep moving and we have to keep growing. How many of you have heard of the study about the pottery class in the book Art and Fear? Anybody? And it's about a study where they split the pottery class into two groups. There was a quality group and a quantity group. The quality group was asked to make one pot, the best over the entire semester, the best possible pot that they could. And they're going to turn in one pot and their grade would be based on that. The other group was asked to do the quantity, where they just made as many pots as possible. The only grade was just about how many pots that they could make. And in the process of that, when it was all said and done, the quantity group actually made better pots than the quality group. Because of iteration, experimentation, trying and failing, trying new things. Overthinking hinders progress, right? And mastery comes from practice. And doing more leads to doing better. And so we've got to keep moving. It's all about the fact that things are moving. Now go with me on this. President Donald Trump has signed 50 executive orders or more in the first few weeks of his presidency, right? Elon Musk is running amok. And I love it. And I'm not highlighting my political perspective. I'm not starting a political conversation here. Love it or hate it, though, we're moving. Things are moving, and they're moving at lightning speed. And it's true. If you think about it, tragedy strikes at your credit union. You don't just wait around. You don't have a meeting to plan for the meeting. You don't just kind of think about it, hem and haw for a while. No, you strike. You execute. You go with what you have to do. And Sue likes to frame it as you cut off your arm and then piece it back together where you can. You make things happen. And that's what we have to continue to do as credit unions. And speaking of things moving, we know at the end of last year, the Senate Finance Committee held hearings, right, on tax policy. And just a couple weeks ago, the former FDIC chair Sheila Bair, urged lawmakers to reconsider credit unions' tax-exempt status. And I know it's a topic of our week this week. But she was arguing that credit unions have expanded beyond the original mandate. So for any of you that need a reminder, or for our rookie vendors in the room, our original mandate was for credit unions will provide affordable financial services to people of modest means, fostering cooperation, financial inclusion, and community investment. So affordable financial services to people of modest means to foster cooperation, financial inclusion, and community development, community investment. I was talking recently to a few friends. They're friends, small business owners, but also conspiracy theorists. So I like to debate with them. And we were talking about USAID and all of the executive orders and what was happening with tax exemption. And they were saying, well, what could possibly happen? How could this impact the international cooperative environment? How could it impact the United States cooperative environment? And I was like, well, it could completely wipe out cooperative finance as we know it. And their question back to me was, what does that matter? Right. And so not only was it an opportunity to educate, but it's also an opportunity for me to remember some of these things first. But I started with, because it provides some checks and balances. Cooperative finance with traditional banking and investment banking, that's a good balance. We all know what happens when someone's untouchable. Right, P. Diddy? Right? Like, you think about, would you never want to get to that level, but it's all about where one sector doesn't end up destabilizing the whole system. It's about preventing exploitation. Corruption is everywhere, right? And we want to manage that. But not only that, cooperative finance serves overlooked individuals. It encourages the localized empowerment. It's about economic development in a grassroots way. And credit unions prioritize people. Sometimes people will ask me why I teach. I've been teaching at the community college for a very long time now. And people say, but why? Like, what is that doing? It pays no money. It's another thing on my plate. And my answer is always because of the humans. They're human beings that want to make their life better, that they're out there, just working hard and thirsty for more knowledge. I have one gentleman in my class who's been running, a Hispanic gentleman that's been running a tile business for 20 years and knows he's not going to be able to squat down forever and is trying to figure out how to take his life to the next level. I have another single mom who recently lost her husband and doesn't know any basic finance or life skills and wants to just know the basics. I have some people in the military. I have a guy that works for Deloitte that can't get promoted until he has that piece of paper. But all of them are there because they want to do better and they want to do more. And that's what credit unions are all about. It's those human beings. So if you are here today and you're running a technology company and you're just hoping to network to make some money, get out. Because we aren't here for the same reasons. But if you want to help us change the world and make a difference in people's lives, then help us figure out how to do both. Let's make money and let's reinvest that money in the human beings that each and every one of us are serving. The industry, thank you. The industry is not just about the top 10. And I know a lot of stellar vendors doing great things that only want to talk to the biggest credit unions. But this industry was built on the backs of the bottom 2,000. So Cuss, as we know, also stands for Credit Union Shared Services. And a big part of that is pulling resources together so it can be a system solution. Because the system is stronger if we all work together. So we're here today in the trenches together, credit union leaders, technology, innovators, financial disruptors, and we're juggling regulations and innovations and cybersecurity threats and a membership base that wants everything easier and faster and cheaper, right? But let's not forget the true reason of why we're here, and that's people helping people. So in summary, number one, let's talk about real problems, not things that sound good in headlines or clickbait. 2, this is a system challenge. Let's get uncomfortable. Let's challenge each other. And 3, turn your cussing into action. Lean into that frustration. And maybe, just maybe, by the end of today, we'll cuss a little less.